Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Built Environment Marketing Show, hosted by me, Aya Abbas. Today, my guest is Nathan Spencer from UKREiiF. He's the MD there and he's a very busy man, so I'm glad he made the time. We have an amazing chat about what's happening at the show next month in Leeds, in the UK, which is May, by the way. And if you are going up to Leeds and you want some hints and tips on what's happening and what to do and how to prepare, this show is for you. Enjoy.
I am Nathan Spencer, MD, UKREiiF. Sat in my car because my internet has failed in the office, unbelievably, and I don't have any sort of certificates or awards behind me like Ayo has, unfortunately. Got nothing. But
that's called branding,
good marketing,
mate.
right there, on brand.
I know, I want to kind of paint my wall with a lilac colour. That's on my to-do list as well. Anyway, apart from my interior design. So what we're going to do is basically give you the lowdown on what's happening at UKREiiF this year, which is from May the 19th to the 21st in glorious Leeds. Hopefully you've got your tickets in place, places to stay, your planning sorted. Not everyone has yet, but, you know, I haven't planned everything yet, I have to admit. So in the first half, I'm going to talk to Nathan about what's new, what's happening, what you need to know, practical stuff. In the second half, I've made up some scenarios, Nathan. See, I was trying to be different this year.
Wow.
Scenarios, eh? And questions from you on the floor as well. So if anyone else has got any questions for us, then yeah, we'll be giving you hints and tips so you get the most out of the show. So Nathan, do you want to intro yourself and UKREiiF, which is now in its 4th year? I was listening yesterday to various podcasts of you.
No, yeah, 5th year.
5th year?
5th year. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I haven't done that many.
Have I said it wrong on another? I've said it wrong somewhere, haven't I?
I was listening to something yesterday,
Yeah.
and I heard 4th, so it's 5th.
Yeah, 5th year. Yeah, it's all right. Do your research next time, please.
I won't listen to you. That's it.
No. 5th year. It gone strength to strength. It started off as big focus was all on inward investment, bring the investors together, bring the councils together, and the government, bring the developers together, and that's really where it's gone to. It's grown much bigger than that now, but it's still very much focused on bringing the investors, developer audience, proper projects coming forward, those conversations happening in that place. The audience is very heavily swayed towards that demographic, whereas in some cases, some events are clients in that regard, but actually we're very different to that, and we're seeing some of that kind of come to fruition now with projects landing and investment being sort of deployed, which is really good. But for those that haven't been, it's a Glastonbury type event, as my colleague Matt says, for the real estate industry, which is, I think, dead on exactly what it feels like.
Feels like Glasgow. That's what you're going for. I've never been, you know that. I don't go with Will either. No, because I'm kind of old.
Our head of security and health and safety is actually from Glasgow as well. So we're trying to steal the Glastonbury team. So you never know. We must time to rival them.
Oh, there you go. He's from Leeds. I don't know. I love the way I'm like, I have no idea. So what's hot this year? What's changed?
What's hot? In fairness, we try not to do too many changes for a year because it's a winning formula. One of the key things we try to do is just move people away from doing too many panels and the same conversations on those panels, particularly like trying to get people to be a bit more disruptive. So, trying to have 1 or 2 people on a panel who don't agree with the norm is actually quite interesting, just to gauge that kind of back and forth instead of just all agreeing. So yeah, we've done quite a bit in we call it streams from our end. So it's quite difficult for people to see sometimes, but if you're having a look at sectors, there will be, if you're focused on data centers, there'll be a data centers networking event midday, and then there's a data centers private roundtable afterwards. But that's where we've been able to invite all the occupiers from that sector together. That's the purpose for them being at UKREiiF. But they'll also be at the networking event. They'll also be engaged in the panel talks, which are happening just afterwards. So we've tried to make it a little bit clearer with some of that this year. We're really lucky that some partners have done that for us. There's a PBSA one coming forward, with one of the podcasts. There's the cast are doing the social value area. J2 are doing the marketing day as well. So yeah, having things like a dedicated stream to sort of PBSA and that kind of shared living side of things linked to a podcast as well, which is good from the for that publicity side. It's just really good to build all of that agenda around one topic in one space, which is good. So yeah, lots of different things, but also a lot of the same happening as well.
Awesome. Yeah. So, so you've got the shared living space, which I know is new, which is new for this year as well, haven't you? And things like that. And I guess it makes it easier for an attendee to navigate, doesn't it? Because it just means that I'm really interested in this. This is where my focus should be. And that's how you can kind of get the most out of what you need. It's, I guess, having that conversation with yourself about what sectors or areas are really are really valuable to yourself, isn't it? And thinking about that.
Yeah, we've known for a while it needs to. One of the biggest issues with the program is we've moved at such a pace. You know, the first year we were 3,500 people. The next year it was 7,500. The next year it was 14. Yeah, the pace it's grown has been so quick that it's difficult to catch your breath a little bit. And there's so much happening across the agenda on different topics because it's different pavilions that we don't control the program for. So it will probably become a little bit clearer in 2027, where we're going to have a bit more of a dedicated, where we can, we're going to try and collate certain activities. So there's a really clear, if you're focused on healthcare and social infrastructure, there's a dedicated kind of day where there's a headline partner or two that are experts and client heavy in that area. And that'll be the space that we try to navigate to, where the program is a little bit easier to navigate per day.
So you've got like a pathway kind of thought to navigate your way through, and this makes it a bit more straight.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want people coming for just one day, which is why actually it's probably not been a big focus for us. We want them to be touching in every single day. But we're at the stage now where actually something like a data centers or digital infrastructure, that's already happening on numerous days. So actually, if we can create one day within a stream for ourselves, that it's really easy to get a government minister involved. It's really easy to get the CEOs of all the big occupiers there. Actually, that will then benefit the other events happening across the other 2 days as well, because some of them will stay for 2 days, or it will bring new people from that space together. So yeah, there's a little bit more clarity on it for 27. I think we saw it with MIPIM's data centers event this year, where actually there was a bit happening, but it was kind of dotted of, a bit on a Monday evening and then a bit on a Tuesday afternoon. And I realized it was quite different type of program. What do you do in the interim? So we just want to make it really clear for particularly VIPs, because they then bring the rest of the audience with them.
Okay, that does make perfect sense. And I know you've got like a new marketing day happening this year, which is different, isn't it? I've not seen that before. How come you've done that?
Yeah, well, this is kind of what we're trying to do with all of them. When we looked at it last year, we were kind of like, well, where are the gaps? We've always said, I know Matt champions this heavily. Matt looks after the whole program. You sometimes have marketeers who are so involved in delivering UKREiiF, place marketeers in designing what the places and the propositions which are brought to UKREiiF. We have the marketeers who are involved in putting the event together, making sure the right people are in the room, promoting it, and then they don't get to attend UKREiiF because they're not seen as valuable enough in some cases, and we just don't understand it. So it was one of those where we thought, well, actually, let's just ensure that there is at least some content on. It was actually J2 who came to us, and this is where we've had a few of those coming to us saying, well, what are you doing on this sector? So the PBSA one was someone had put on social media, why wasn't there more of a clearer defined PBSA or shared living area? So that was let's approach them and see if they want to do it. So yeah, J2 have led on that. We've supported them with a different ticketing structure to enable it to be a bit more attractive for a day of attendance. And we've supported them by getting Rory Sutherland to the event, who I've loved anyway, and I wanted him to come to the
He's
event.
Amazing. He's such a great speaker. He's just always so interesting.
Yeah, that way of I think my brief to him before we got him involved in the J2 bit was just our industry is so poor at marketing externally. So there's no influencers within our industry. Like we went to that the guy who does Career Ladder, the Max something. I don't know if you've seen it. 50,
I have seen
50
it where he just
grand.
stands there. Yeah.
Yeah, 50 grand to hire him. So you're kind of like how we should be having influencers within our sector and industry, because I just wish there was someone like that. I mean, standing on a ladder and asking questions, and you're now raking in that type of money. It makes me question what I'm doing. But
it does also make you question actually health and safety. We'd be there going, okay, where's your health and safety and liability insurance, sir?
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I think our industry is so bad at marketing externally that there's a real way of needing to be clearer to people, to attract them to the industry, which is a big issue for ours, to stop NIMBYism, just to make sure that people are on board with development and regen. Everyone just thinks it's negative. So that was the purpose of bringing him on, and that's really built out into a really positive day there.
Okay, we've got a question from Nicholas Barrows actually about the J2 tickets and stuff. How are they working? Do you know anything about that, or is that one for?
I don't know the ins and outs, but I'll follow up afterwards. But I believe so. It tends to be because there's it's for people who've never been to UKREiiF before, because we do get people trying to register who've been to UKREiiF on fully paid tickets who will benefit from the 3 days. Because access to the event, you're on site, you can go to everything. I believe J2 have selected a preference of people you register interest, because it's a discounted ticket cost to attend the dedicated stream on the day. So there has to be some sort of commercial purpose in there for us to make sure that it's not impacting the main event, but it's allowing those people that have previously not been able to attend, or there's not a purpose for the marketing team to attend to get there. So we're trying to push people away from, if they've got BD in their job titles or anything, they're going to benefit from the wider event. We're trying to push it more to those. That was what I believe was the starting point, but actually, I will follow up on that one, and I'll put a comment.
That'll be awesome, just to get back to people, because
I'll put a comment in this chat just to finalize that later on, if that's okay for anyone who's listening and has that question.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you for that. So, you talked about different formats. What sort of different formats are people doing this year?
Well, obviously, I'm guessing there will be the general panels. We're trying to cut them down a little bit to 45 minutes as well for a little bit. We've shaped at the main stage to have a bit more of fireside chats as well. So what we've tried to do is guide people to doing, particularly if they have a dedicated space. Your starting point shouldn't be 5 panels. Your starting point should be, right, let's do a welcome breakfast. You then do an afternoon lunch networking event, and then you do an evening drinks reception, and then you fill the gaps with content either side of them. Some have been kind of a bit creative with bringing, so Cumbria have got Bradley Wiggins along. But what they're doing is they're thinking, who do we want to attract in? And they can run, in some cases, some will run private events in their space. So like JLL run one with the Association for Real Estate Funds, because they want the investors in there. So we've supported them since inception from that side. But that's what we're trying to push people to, is think, who do you actually want in your space? Right, if you want to be engaging with house builders, why don't we run a drinks reception in your area with Homes England, or a lunch dinner type thing? It's those really more strategic things of stop thinking about running content to talk to people about what you're doing. That's part of it, but actually you're missing a gap, because not everyone networks like that. Not everyone is there for content. So try and do a mixture of everything.
And use your space in different ways. I think that's what you're saying, isn't it? That kind of. Yeah.
Exactly. And we us, we're always bringing new things to the event as well. So there's Safe Construction Network, Safe Construction Initiative, bringing an area to site where young people are going to be ferried in on coaches, and they can learn how to do spray painting and the like, and they'll get a certificate at the end of it. We've got Regeneration Brain doing a hackathon. Those types of things, we're kind of guiding people to say, look, be a bit more thoughtful and creative on some of these bits, and it'll create a bit more of that mixed program, which is what we're looking for.
Oh, isn't there like a One Big Ideas pitch as well that I was reading about as well, and I heard about one of the agencies is running, and there's quite a few kind of different things and research and lots of different things happening, which I think is really nice. Actually, just breaks it up a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a good one, which I similar to the marketing day, I know very little about it outside of Cartwright Comms are supporting it. So Yeah, Cartwright Commons are supporting it. I know Renee Preston's on there as one of the judges. Renee's bringing about 300 female students to site to engagement in the industry. So absolutely love people who are doing that kind of engagement as well with the industry. And yeah, three ideas have been selected out of a list of about 100 ideas, and they'll share it back. I think there's another in a pavilion, a Clean Tech Cup, I think it's called, which is sort of organisations who have got creative tech ideas for sustainability are going to present to a panel of judges. So yeah, those types of things just add a bit more creativity to the agenda, to have a bit of a mixture within the programme.
But also, it's like the audience can get more involved in that as well, which I always think is quite nice. It just breaks stuff up a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So any kind of talks we should be looking out for? What's the kind of ones which are, the rest of politics are there, aren't they? But without Rory, I heard.
Yeah, we knew Rory wasn't available since the first. As soon as he was at UKREiiF last year, he knew he was double booked for next year. So I don't know what he's doing. That's related Argent. I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing next week. So he's a very busy man if his diary is that cleared. That's with Related Argent, who have brought him or brought the Rest is Politics to the event for 3 or 4 years now. We have 16 members of parliament or government ministers, including a very big government minister coming, who which is I'm not sure we're allowed to talk about the specific date, but we'll have a lot of coverage there from the investment side, from the devolution side, from the housing side. Treasury are very big on it this year. But yeah, the overall agenda, I think the ones that I've put in my diary at the moment are those where I can get a little bit more engaged with them. So I've even been asked to talk for the first time, believe it or not.
That's lovely.
I know.
Who knew you could do this?
So I should big up. I haven't actually replied to them to say that I can make it yet, but Wakefield. I've been asked by Muse to talk about Wakefield, so I might be too late now. I saw a WhatsApp message and I forgot to reply to it. Yeah, everyone wants to hear about Wakefield, obviously, so come and listen to that one for
it's
sure.
It's the place to be, I hear. I don't even know where it is, but yes.
Exactly. No, it's my hometown. City. It's a city. Yeah, the stuff that I like is one of the things that we set out when we finished the event last year was we need to start getting speakers who are outside of our sector. And if you look at the agenda, there is a lot more this year, particularly on our main stage, where there's some different voices coming in, which are completely outside of our industry, but will bring new thoughts and ideas as to how to shape place. So yeah, that's probably those are the ones I'm looking forward to. And then obviously there's a fair few big announcements which will become clearer towards the end of or a bit closer to the event. Two things I'm really looking forward to are we tested we call them facilitation events last year, where we put 40 clients in a room last year it was on regions, and this year we're doing them on sectors. And so they've grown massively. So what happens in those, we put 10 councils in a room, and then we bring in 30 investors, developers and end users. And then every 20 minutes, the investors move left, the developers move right, and they just get to therefore meet the relevant people that they want to meet.
It's like a speed kind of networking in a way, right?
Exactly. Speed networking, but really with intent, where we've looked at, if we're going to do a session that's focused on commercial officers, then actually you do probably need a good mix of your big cities in there for the investors that we're getting. But then we do it on a regional level as well, where we can be a bit more inclusive with other towns and cities being involved in it. So really purposeful. And then building people have curated a kind of an activity with the women in groups. There's a lot of women in groups in there.
They found like 70, haven't they, just across the industry, like over 70, which is
yeah, I mean,
good and bad.
Yeah, I mean, we know they're there because they message us every year asking for partnerships and free tickets, but sometimes it's just the same person wanting a free ticket every year, and we're kind of like, it's not how it works. We need intent behind these sort of things. But what they're doing is brilliant. So they're bringing the women in groups together to sign at UKREiiF an agreement to try and work more together. Because what you've got loads of the events and stuff aside, you've got people who sometimes might be working on research or surveys to find out X, but then another one's doing it. So there's loads of resource within these volunteer groups, which is just being lost.
Oh, it happens all the time. And we just
volunteer.
end up traveling, we're going over the same ground all the time, like in the
Yeah.
same way, isn't it? And it's like, you're not going to get the most impact because you're doing it.
Exactly.
It's all quite piecemeal.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what they're trying to, create a vision towards something slightly different. And then I should also shout out the social value stuff. So it's quite hidden in the background, but we ran a social value summit a couple of years ago, which brought together, with the help of Wesley, who's now at Savills Earth. We brought together all the metric tools, and we had investors and combined authorities and developers talk about why some of the metrics don't work for them. So the measurement tools behind social value are really difficult because there's so many working very differently. The second year that moved forward slightly different, we got more people involved. And then this year there's a gathering of certain minds, and we hope that gets taken forward into something which can be announced in October, November time. We're less involved nowadays. It's very much being led by those that we helped bring together in year one. But we're constantly involved in kind of making sure that UKREiiF's the place to bring them together behind closed doors for this one. But we hope that there's some form of positive messaging coming down the line from that social value piece. So we're going to do a photo shoot in the hope that there's going to be some news in 4 or 5 months following UKREiiF on that one.
Photo shoots. I'm like, photo shoots, I'm there. So how are you doing in terms of numbers? What's your expectation this year?
Yeah, I think last year it was 16,000. We're tracking above, but I'm still going to say it's about 16,000. We're at that space where we're focusing very much on that client side of things. So from our end, the increase in how many our clients is up a few percent, which is perfect for us. That means the quality of who we're bringing into the room is where we want to be. So yeah, we think we'll be over where we were last year by a fair few hundred, potentially even 1,000 or more. But from our end at the moment, it's all about that 16,000 number. Once that's hit, I can then put my feet up and enjoy the last couple of weeks before the event happens.
And I guess you always have a very active fringe, as it were. Not you personally. Because I'm looking at your fringe.
But it is there, yeah.
I know. I don't have one. So what kind of fringe events are on that kind of agenda that you know of or heard about? I know Dominique Sandel is collating a whole kind of what's going on in the fringe at the moment and things like that. I've seen from build up.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of obviously fun stuff happening. Monday night kicks off with there's a couple of private events which bring people into the city. So the Office for Investment, we work with them. They bring over an international delegation from Asia, Europe, America, etc. And there's a big event happening there. The Great North, which is 11 mayors are doing a drinks reception that night. But I've seen across the wider side of things, Monday's getting a little bit busier. It's one of the reasons why we had a queue last year, because the way that people attend suddenly shifted. So whereas the trend was everyone, particularly traveling from outside Leeds, would come on Tuesday morning, arrive in the city at about 9 and come down to site. Last year, we hadn't realised how many more people had stayed in the city, and the booking just changed completely overnight, which we hopefully won't have queues this year. Other fringe events, there's some really fun ones. So I always go to the Rock at UKREiiF, which raises money for charity for Land Aid. They're doing 2 this year. The Wednesday evening is the industry one, which I've always been to. It's just industry figures on stage. The Tuesday night, they're doing it at the same place, but it's they've got local talent on instead. So that's a really good one to go to. What else we got? The DJ battle is back. So I think Kim McGuinness from the Northeast and Paul Bristow, who's the mayor for Cambridgeshire, are signed up for that one. There'll be 3 or 4 of the mayors confirmed in the next few weeks, but that's quite a good one. The LGBT disco, which I love, which Kratos does. That's my after party piece, that one.
I'll be tied up in bed.
Yeah, it's awesome, that one. And then we're doing, we work with Legal in General to run an investment dinner on the Tuesday. So actually my Tuesday has to be a sensible one this year.
I was going to say, that sounds fun. No, it sounds important.
Yeah, it's a lot more of the I think pretty much every mayor's going to it, and then they're seated with investors and developers. Effectively, it's what we're here for and what we need to do. So yeah, there's a big focus on that one for us, but it means Tuesday will be a little bit more basic, I think, for me this year. There's walking tours, there's Pecha Kutcher bingo, there's lots of fun stuff on the agenda. I like those ones that are a little bit different because you do see unofficial events happening across the city. Some of them are getting very angry legal letters for using our logo and calling it UKREiiF events, which we don't like. But some of them are kind of like in a pub from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. and we don't want to associate with those ones. They're just not our vibe. That's just drinking culture that feel that's a little bit more where the industry used to be. So yeah, the fun official ones are all on the website that you can book onto.
Awesome. No, that's great. It's good to know. So let's kind of move on to kind of some of the scenarios I have. So let's start off with networking. So what tips do you have for people who are traveling up to the show and just want to make the most out of it as a individual for their business? Any kind of tools, resources that they should be using? I know I always kind of have my phone in my hand all the time because it just makes it so much easier.
Yes, I would always say if you've never been and you are actually really wanting advice, just drop us a line. There was a lady, I think her name, oh no, I shouldn't say what I think her name is because I might be wrong.
A few weeks ago, she put a question, didn't she?
She put something on LinkedIn just saying, does anyone think it's worthwhile? I had a chat with her a couple of days ago just to say, yeah, is it for you or not, honestly, and what would I do? Sent over the what I would do if I was in their shoes and they've booked a ticket. We're really personable and give time to anyone. So if anyone's got questions, they just need to ask us. But also my tip would just make sure you do the agenda based on what you want to get out of it. Some people are going for knowledge and therefore look on the program, use the filters on the side and navigate through what you want to do and when. If you're going for business development, there's a dedicated area that we just do networking events in. So 1 hour it's focused on sustainability. The next hour it'll be focused on logistics and industrial. Just go to those types of events, go and meet McDonald's for breakfast and go into the Aldi pavilion, go to where the clients are going to be. And if you work regionally and your main business is in London, just hang around that London area for the day, because the quality of people you'll meet is very high. So yeah, that would be my suggestions, but go with a plan, which you would also say from your end. Go with a bloody plan.
But you know what's really interesting? I say go with a plan, but also I say but leave some time as well, because I think the other thing is like sometimes you can basically put so much stuff in your calendar that you don't give yourself space as well. So I think there's a balance of the two, isn't it? Of like having the plan, but also leaving gaps as well.
Yeah. No, totally. Absolutely. Yeah. So those kind of chance encounters, making sure that if you see something that's on, you can move to it. Yeah. My agenda, I experienced it because I do MIPIN. It's very different. UKREiiF, I'm obviously a bit more floating, but with MIPIN, I always say the same, point out 3 or 4 really important things to do that day. But actually the majority of the time, you just nip into things for 10 minutes. You don't need to be in a place for an hour and a half unless it's really important to you. But yeah, I'll tend to do a place 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then move on to the next, and you just keep meeting new people.
But you are very good at that. Every time I hear you talk, I'm always like, you are so good. Yeah. And I've realized that I can do some of it, but then I'm like, I need space now. It's just like,
yeah.
But you've got quiet zones though, again, haven't you? Which I think is actually really important to point out in the Royal Armouries as usual, isn't it? Upstairs.
Yeah. We've had one since day one, a quiet zone. I've got my hotel room on site as well. So I have my own personal quiet room that I just go and nap for an hour during the day, which is good. But yeah, we do. We have a place that you can go and just zoom out for a little bit.
So what kind of common mistakes do you see people do?
Common mistakes. I would probably say it's staying in the same networks for sure. So there's a lot of people who will come to UKREiiF, but just have lunch with the same colleagues that they've had lunch with in their network the week before or 2 weeks before. This is an event where the quality of people are there. You just need to go and find them. If you're from that BD side, if you're from the the knowledge side. Make sure you're asking questions, make sure you're engaged. You can easily go to an event like this and just get lost, and it just runs away with you too quickly. So yeah, you need to be really prepared way in advance. Don't be looking at the program the night before thinking, what am I going to do? I always suggested an event of this size. It will sound weird with me saying go down and have a look at it, but if you're arriving on the Monday, genuinely just go down and have a quick look at what the site looks like.
And my biggest tip is to take notes as well. Because otherwise you just forget. Like at the end of the day, I normally have like a notes app in my phone, and then just of like conversations follow up who I've met. And then I just kind of tidy it up, because otherwise I just find that, yeah, my brain will just be like, I have no idea who I spoke to or what I'm meant to do. And it just helps with follow up. It really does. No, I just don't remember stuff.
What I've learned along the way is don't say something, don't promise something at the event and then forget about it. Because I once promised, we had Gary Neville there once year, and there was someone that I said, oh, I'll get you in there, mate, don't worry. And then I forgot to put them on the guest list. So they were just stood outside for 15 minutes not being able to get in. Which still lives rent-free in my head, that one. Just the photo of them just stood there with a sad face.
What did they do? They just went, Nathan.
That's it. Oh, I got a bit of a bollocking from the internal team on that one.
Right, quick one before we go back into this episode. If you are going to any live event or conference and you're not entirely sure that you're getting the value you should, things like you show up, you have those conversations, you get back to the office, and then not much happens. Well, I've put together something that might just help you. It is 101 practical ways to get more from events. How to prepare properly, what to actually do when you're there, and how to follow up so those conversations turn it into real, actual pipeline. Lots of tactics that actually work. Things like how to build your target list before you arrive, how to turn one panel into months of content, and how to follow up within 48 hours in ways that convert. So head to abbasmarketing.com/events, type in your details and download it there. That is all. Now, back to the episode. I've got some questions which I'm just going to throw up before I do scenarios. So there's one around Thursday. My understanding is that Thursday is usually a much more muted day with lower attendance and everyone closing down. Any plans to improve attendance for this last day?
Yes, there is. There is actually an announcement being made at UKREiiF around something new that's going to be launched on the Thursday for next year, which ties that in really well. But yeah, it's noted. If we went to a two-day conference, it'd be the same. If you went to a 4-day conference, the Thursday would be really busy again, and then so it's just naturally what happens. The numbers are still decent. It's not as if you're looking at a couple of thousand walking around a site. There's still 10,000 turning up onto the site during the day. It's just not as busy as the 16,000 that came through the day before. So, but yes, there is plans to make it busier, particularly next year. And it comes back to what I talked about at the beginning with certain strands and days. Some of those will be on the Thursday. So actually, there'll be a really built-out quality piece of a sector that if you're interested in, let's say that we put data centers on that day. If you're interested in data center, Thursday would be an unmissable day. Whereas at the moment, every day is a bit of unmissable. So it's one of those where, yeah, we're just looking into the agenda with a bit more clarity for next year. But there is also an announcement for something new happening on the Thursday for next year.
Yeah. I've got a question from Kim Wow. I'm not sure how to say that. It says more social enterprise and CIC presence is the dream for UKREiiF. Lots of positive steps and impressive list so far, but still feeling costed out on the occasion, having to find the money to get there, stay over, etc. So yeah, there's a question around kind of how do you make it, I guess, more affordable to some of these smaller groups and organisations.
Yes, this is a really difficult piece because, for example, Kim's from Place Eds, and we've supported them in certain years with free tickets for them as an organisation and colleagues underneath it, and then we've given them a free space. But we can't give that to the same companies year after year after year after year, because otherwise it's just the same old. It's just a kind of a club of the same businesses doing the same stuff every year. So from our end, we've tried to do this with the D&I groups that we have as well, with the with tickets, because we do give tickets out to some of the D&I groups. We want to ensure that they're being used for new people. You know, not this. It's all good for the ticket to be used for someone from a small business, but actually the next year we're kind of asking, but could it be used for someone else from a small business? Because one of them's benefited, we want the next one too. So I get the point, but we must donate not just tickets but space over both all 3 days to these types of organizations. I would always say if people come with a really purpose-driven idea, then it always goes, yeah, that's great. Many come saying we want a space to run a roundtable or a panel. I can get anyone to run that in their space. You know, that's where we'd be pushing it onto them to do it. So yeah, I take the point, and we're always looking at it. But from our end, for every CIC or charity we've had to say no to, there's probably 2 that we've said yes to. And usually the first year is where we're engaged completely with it and say yes. But then naturally you can then make relationships on site with some of the pavilion holders. So then that we push you into the second year to say, yeah, what have you got from it? You should hopefully now have a partnership that enables you to bring something forward the next year, and so forth. But yeah, it's all around opportunity for all rather than opportunity for a minute group of CICs from our end. I'll just add one sort of additional comment on that one. So that I saw one post a TikTok video online about how it was unfair that they weren't involved in conversations like MIPIM. So we've invited them to UKREiiF and we're paying for their travel over. Those types of things, we do them off the bat all the time. So yeah, it is happening. It just may not be visible, and maybe that's for us to tell the story slightly better of everything we do.
Okay, no, that's great. Thank you for covering that. Okay, so if, for example, this is the first time you are going to UKREiiF, what would you say I should be doing now when I'm there and once I'm done? Any kind of tips?
Yeah, define the purpose of why you're going. That's the starting point. Who do you want to meet? Why you actually go? What does good return on investment look like for the next year for you to say, actually, I should go back to the event because I got X, Y, and Z from it? I would always say if you don't get what you want from UKREiiF, you're probably not doing it right at all, or the job maybe isn't for you. No, I shouldn't say that, should I?
No, don't say that. I'm hurt. Everyone's like, oh.
But no, if you're not getting if the people are there that you want to meet and you're not making the most, then yeah, it's probably what you're putting into it. So I would define what you want to get. What does return on investment look like? And then think strategically, how am I actually going to get in front of those people? Or it's difficult because if you're going for knowledge, you just go onto the website and use the left-hand area and flick through it. But I would always say, even if you're there for knowledge, don't just go to the talks. If you're there to get knowledge on data centers, yes, go to the talks, but also go to the data centers networking event that's happening, and go to those pieces where you can pick up that cross knowledge. Go to stuff on industrial, go to stuff on energy, where there's that crossover back into that sector. So yeah, don't just, if you follow just one area and one area, you'll just end up being in the same old crowd with the same old people. So yeah, I would always say just make sure that you go to a mixture of different areas and branch out. But it's all about planning, really, and use your network. If you're a big company, I'd be probably bringing, if you haven't got the resource internally, I'd be bringing someone in to help me get that sorted. If I'm a first time and I'm actually a small business or something, then yeah, I just use your network and try and get their thoughts as well. But make sure you define it around what you want to achieve, because you can be in that position where you'll be guided into, well, you should do this event or that event, but actually that's what they would do. So you do need to define it yourself as to what you would want to get out of it.
And I think also that main thing of putting yourself where your clients are and stuff like that, and actually clients are partners, because it can be different, right? And I think just thinking of that and trying to kind of, I guess, break out of always the same people, like you said before. And also I think stuff like LinkedIn, you can search there in terms of like UKREiiF and see who's going. You can also look at the app, and the directory is really useful as well for job titles and clients and all of that. And I think you just got to make sure you look at that before you go, really.
That is a very important point, actually, because I used to do it. I've hit my LinkedIn connections. You can't you can't get any more after a certain period. So I used to
Yeah,
go on and just
you.
every single person, just connect with everyone who's going, everyone who's tagged in a post, everyone who's going. The best thing you can do in that front, and you could obviously you do this well, and marketers do, is be visible, because the amount of people who know you just by face because they've seen you on LinkedIn,
Oh, it scares me.
that's weird, isn't it? I
It's
know.
so weird. Hi, Io.
I know it is. There was 1 week where I got stopped in London 3 times, and I was like, oh, I've made it in life now, haven't I? I've been stopped 3 in London. Yeah, my mum would be proud. But yeah, that's what I would say. It's yeah, that's a really good shout. Connect with everyone and build your personal brand. Personal brand just in general is so important. And there's, I don't actually know that many who had, I could probably write down a list of 20 or 30 who I think have a really strong personal brand on a LinkedIn from our industry. There is an opportunity to make that space your own, and think a bit more creatively about how you do that. But yeah, good shout on connect with absolutely everybody.
And I think the thing is, I mean, it wasn't last year, it was the year before when Dominique Sandel and I, we were on that train and we literally did a post. And I think between her post went crazy viral. So I think she had like 25,000 views, right? On the way up in a day. And my one had like 8. And like, honestly, walking through Leeds, everyone was like, you're that woman from LinkedIn. And it was so weird. That's literally all we got. And but I do think there is that thing of the online and offline world kind of connecting, and it's like an event is actually a great way of doing that. So don't not do that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you do well as well within your network, because you've got a network, you all introduce to each other in terms of, if you're with one of them, someone will come over to you whoever you're with doesn't know, and that's that really good piece of, if you are there. I always try and do this at MIP, and I always try and be with someone, just because it's easier for me to either meet someone from their network or likewise they can meet someone from my network. It's been a bit more of an easier flow from that perspective. But yeah, the power of LinkedIn.
We call it tag team. That's that's what we end up doing. But no, it's so useful. Awesome. And I was going to say, if you're like a small practice leader, so like an architecture firm, for example, and you're looking to come to UKREiiF to, I don't know, get more housing projects, what kind of thing would you advise for someone like that?
Yeah, well, if it's a person going for the purpose of winning new work, meeting clients, so depends where they are based. So, I always I think there's a bigger concentration within the capital, within London, on that front. So if I am putting myself in that scenario of being from London, the London Pavilion is banging. You've got, I know, 20 London boroughs part of it. You've got Arada, who have plans to be the biggest house builder in London. You've got Places for London, got Hillgrove. You've got all these people in that space that are developers. They have a space you could just go up and have a chat with, but because they're there, it attracts everyone else. The investors, the developers are there, the councils are there. Hang out in those places where you're going to meet your client. Don't be thinking, oh, where do I want to go? New business perspective, I'm thinking more than anything. But yeah, I wouldn't be going where I want to go, that I find interesting. You need to put yourself in the scenario on the other foot. I'd be saying to them, they need to create a scenario. I'm a developer in London. Where am I going to be? And where they are is where you want to be going yourself.
And I guess if you're looking at housing and stuff like that, it's like, what's the areas you're interested in working, as well as the housing themed debates, because there'll also be a thing about how do we hit 1.5 million? There'll be that strand, isn't it? So you've got the sector, but then there's also the areas that you're working in, and then building out your program and your networking from that, I guess.
100%. And that's the bit where there's, on the program, there'll be networking events on housing and resi. You'll be able to highlight speakers that you want to meet. And if you're not there for content, I just go in 5 minutes before the end and then speak to the speaker that you want to speak to at the end of it. I'd be looking at, there is a couple of invite only events that are happening, but just make sure you're positioned outside that room 5 minutes before it finishes, and then they filter out. And so, yeah, it really depends on the approach to your, I'm slightly more aggressive on BD as
yes,
to,
you are.
So that the invite only room, I just walk in and pretend I'm meant to be in it. I think we spoke about this before. Actually, just pretend you're meant to be there, and most of the time, no one questions you. Yeah, it really depends on how aggressive and how focused you are on growth versus are you there just to, continue relationships. Those, because many get those, many know the network, they just bump into them again at UKREiiF. But yeah, making sure you know where to bump into the right people is very, very important.
Thank you so much for your time, Nathan. It's been really awesome. Really enjoyed it. And thanks for everyone who was asked questions as well.
Well, can I throw back to you, because I haven't asked you. You're one of the experts in it, so
go on.
Let me just get your before we go. We've got 10 minutes left, haven't we?
Yeah,
I'll just ask one or two questions. So,
you're going to interview me? Go.
Yeah. But I think the bit which we haven't talked on. So many go to these events and they turn up, they post on LinkedIn that they're there, but they're collating so much content. Some of them are running content, some of them are capturing it, and they don't really do anything with it. It's just they then move on to the next event and the next event and the next event. So from a marketing perspective, where do you see the biggest kind of fall downs from clients, or well, not your clients, because they'd be brilliant, wouldn't they? But from non-clients, what are they all doing wrong when they go to events like us?
Right. From my perspective, I think the biggest tip I ever give to people is actually have most of your prep done for an event before you go. So like if you're doing marketing and BD, you've got your emails, your follow-up emails are basically done. Like, so you just fill in the blanks when you get back. So it's like, how do you make it easy for yourself once you get back to follow up? So you kind of need to kind of do all of that work beforehand. So I would, just have some kind of blank template emails and all of that kind of stuff sorted. I always kind of, if I'm going to be going to an event, and I'm working for a company, what I would do is have at least a 10-day run-in of content and teasers and stuff that we're going, and really start kind of drip feeding that I'm going to be there. This is who's going to be there. This is what we're talking about. This is what we're looking to do, and just make it kind of interesting. So it might be, talking about what you're looking forward to. It might be about, the key types of people you want to talk to, but actually have a runway of stuff. So you kind of build up that momentum into the event. I think in many ways, it's quite hard to cut through on the actual days of the event because there is so much happening. So in some ways, I think capturing stuff that you can then use after the event is probably going to be how you make more impact. So if I'm paying money and I am running a large event or a conference or a roundtable or a panel session, my biggest tip is just record it. And you could literally just record it on your mobile phone and then come back and just transcribe it and then create your content from that, because I don't think people do that enough. And even just getting a transcript and having a decent blog that you can turn into content and things like that, that is where you're getting kind of that value, because not everybody will be at UKREiiF. The amount of work and cost and time and effort and resource you put into the run up to the event and the event itself, I think everyone kind of stops at the event once it's done. So for me, it's that whole thing about how do you turn around and just make sure that you put as much effort into the kind of follow up and the promotion after the event, because that to me is where you really get the money and the money back and the return on your investment. And I think that's the biggest thing, is recording your panels, creating something afterwards, having a plan for what you're going to create. So is it going to be a blog? Are you going to do some short videos? All of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, for me, I've kind of, last year I did little Vox Pops where I interview people and I released those after the show. This year, I probably do some Vox Pops, but in a different way, so short interviews. But it's just come up with different ideas and things that you can kind of create at the show that you can use afterwards. And yeah, I think those are my main things. And if you are running a team who are going up, being clear on the objectives and the goals of your team and how you're going to work. And I guess if you've got a team, having that kickoff morning, right, you're going to be here, we're doing this is what we need from you, so that people know what to expect, because I often think these are big investments of time and money. So just making sure people are aware of this is what is expected. And we will be following up afterwards and making sure you follow up straight after. Who did you meet? What's your next steps? Are you, making sure people reach out? And then in a couple of months' time, what was the outcome? And keep that momentum going, because I think people don't do that. So yeah.
I totally agree on that one. Yeah, it kind of just dies sometimes, because they move on to the next event so quickly, and then the next one and the next one. But and
that's the bit where I think people miss out. And I think especially on an event like yours, there is so much happening and so much great stuff. But it's easy for people just to go, oh, it doesn't matter, or it's just at the event. And it's like, well, actually, no, that was a massive piece of work for you. So make sure you sweat it. And I think, I mean, for panels, you could run them again, right? If you've got a panel or UKREiiF or something, you could literally run that again somewhere else, or you could record it and, you know, share it as clips and all of this kind of stuff. And I think people don't think in that way enough, and they should.
Yeah, no, I'm very much along those lines as well. Yeah, I wish there was more. One of the things we have done this year is some of the stages that we've got where usually you have to wait until after the event to get your video, and then you transcribe it and all that kind of stuff. On the same day, if you run a session, you get the video and you get the transcription of it. And I'm interested to know, I think it's more of a test from my side to see how many are going to have someone ready to edit, clip, and create a blog from the transcription versus how many we send out. And I bet it's 1, 2 maximum. And if it is, then there's no point doing it. But we're trying to, we've communicated it. I think it's really good trying to get them to think, how do we make a bit more out of this? Because that's your content then for the next 4 weeks, linking back into what you've done at the event.
I think that's interesting is, like, if you look at like us as like business to business, which is basically what we are, right? And you compare us to people who are on TikTok, which are like to consumers, we're just a lot slower when it comes to content. And I think that's the thing is, like, when I go to you know, if you go to I went to an architectural influencer conference a couple of weeks ago, which was brilliant, but like they were all creating content. Everyone in that audience was creating content, but also it was the speed and the turnaround. And like, we don't see that as much as corporate. You kind of think it just seems to be a much slower pace. And I think, yeah, that's something we haven't quite kind of got to grips with yet, kind of turning things around. Because I think now, especially with all the tools you have now, you can, like, I mean, I go to conferences now. I take notes on my phone. I take pictures on the screen. So like, I'll take, you know, the speakers all day. I'll just take like, these are the key things that they're saying. And to be honest, on the train home, I can download all of that file, put it onto Claude, and that can be turned into a blog on my way home, and I just talk to it. And then that's a whole piece of LinkedIn post and a blog, and it's about the conference that I've been to. And it's like relatively easy for me then just to kind of turn that into a piece of content. And I think people aren't thinking in that way yet.
Yeah, no, I use Claude and ChatGPT to write posts by the audio. Okay, it's so much easier for me to just quickly say it out loud rather than writing it down when I'm in a car or when I'm on a train, when it's quick and easy to do. I like the approach. I think just completely off subject, but kind of on subject. I think the piece we talked about earlier with the personal branding, that I would be pushing the staff into it. And I had a meeting, there was an event yesterday around social value where we're talking about the marketing piece, because we've got an issue with the skills agenda trying to get more people in. We haven't got enough influencers talking about us on their TikTok channels or Instagrams or wherever the young audience is. I almost wish it was kind of part of KPIs to be getting young people who can be a little bit more gritty and raw on their socials to be creating that content at a UKREiiF and other events. If they were, they get a bonus quarterly if they've posted X amount. I don't know what it is, but I was thinking about it in my business. Just how do I actually integrate that to make some of the people actually be incentivized to post on their socials? It's going to attract people to UKREiiF, but it might attract the next gen into the industry, which there isn't enough about. But yeah, even on LinkedIn, I wish people would be a little bit more raw with that sort of stuff. There's a few who've done it in MIPIM where they do interviews, walking interviews with delegates, and it actually gets views. So I'd be a little bit more risque, I think, from a brand perspective. And maybe that's not doing it on the brand socials, but looking at who you've got who can be a bit more of that influencer style on LinkedIn, because it's definitely a gap there, and it gets traction.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's that people do business with people after all, rather than actually a brand. But I think we're just very, I guess we're very cautious as an industry, and we always have been. And that's why I find TikTok and all of that quite refreshing when you're like, actually, this is what it's like to be an architect, or this is what it's like, because so many people are hiding away going, it's the best job in the world. And you're like, actually, let's be honest about the elements that work and the things that don't. And I think we have to we do owe it to the next generation to do that and be honest. So definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you have any more questions for me, Mr. Interviewer?
I've taken you to 5:30. We've hit our time.
We've done an hour. Woo woo! Thank you all so much for tuning in. Yeah, so I can say goodbye now. We've done an hour. No, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Nathan. It was really, really good.
See you later.
Thanks so much for listening to the Built Environment Marketing Show. Don't forget to check out the show notes, which will have useful links and resources connected to this episode. You can find that on abasmarketing.com. And of course, if you like the show, please do share it with others on social, as it helps more people to find us. See you soon.